I'm Terry, and this is Tea with Terry, where we talk about thoughts, emotions, and actions. And today we're going to talk about several emotions as they relate to storytelling. So, what do I mean by storytelling? Well, we're going to talk about why storytelling is so powerful. And we have to be careful because often the stories that we're telling ourselves are not serving us. They're not helping us feel empowered and delighted by the life we're living. So let's talk about the emotions involved in storytelling and discover together how powerful this tool can be. And so when you think about storytelling, the stories that we tell ourselves, or a good movie, a good novel, why is a story so compelling? What makes it so compelling? And what it is it's the emotions that it elicits and then the response that we have. So let's talk about some of those responses that happen with storytelling. And as we talk about this, I want you to be thinking about the story that you're telling yourself, because storytelling has an incredible ability to change our perspective and change our lives. So it's fascinating because storytelling really does release all of these different responses and even chemicals. And so the first one we want to talk about is oxytocin. And oxytocin, when it comes to storytelling, it's what makes us feel connected. So we trust what's happening in the story. We believe it. We're all in. So it elicits this feeling of trust and empathy. We have great empathy for the characters in the story. And this release of oxytocin really compels us and draws us into the story. So I want to pause for a moment. You can see that if you were telling yourself a story of empowerment and you're the hero of your story, that it's a wonderful thing to have oxytocin. But if you're telling yourself this really negative story, like you're a loser and you can't, change, and no one is rooting for you, everyone's against you, nothing goes your way, we can also begin to trust that. And so we want to be very careful with the story we tell about ourselves and we tell to ourselves. The second one that really comes into play is dopamine. And dopamine makes things memorable and impactful. So when we get a charge out of the story and we're really engaged with the story and this release of dopamine comes along, then the story has even more impact and we remember it. And so it might not even be a story that you created, but you may have a story from your past. I carried a story for a long time that I was not a good friend. And that story created a dopamine response. And so I trusted that story and it was very memorable. I retold the story and it became very impactful. So impactful that for many years, I didn't really seek out close friendships. I believed I wasn't a good friend. And then endorphins. So endorphins usually can give us that positive sense of a powerful tool for personal transformation. But we also want to be careful because if the story we're telling ourselves is one of defeat, that also can feel very true and very powerful. And so what's so fascinating is that we can change that story. If you have a story from your past, we can't change the past, but we can rewrite that story. And imagine rewriting the story so that you feel more empowered and you use the beautiful emotions of oxytocin and empathy, and then the chemical release of dopamine and endorphins to actually create the life you want versus the life that you don't want. So the next time you find yourself believing a story, really dig in and ask, is that story about me? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it eliciting a beautiful and empowering response? And if not, you have the power to change that story. All right, well, it's fascinating, right, to check out all these ways that our emotions impact our day-to-day life. I hope this was helpful. That's Tea for Terry this week, and I'll see you very soon.